Play guitar.
There we go.
Okay, so
Sorry.
you were okay. Now you're starting. Okay.
Ask him again. Ask him again.
Okay, so yeah, before Propagandhi, you were the frontman guitar player for this hardcore band out of Regina called I Spy, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, then you guys moved to Winnipeg, right? And then you guys started collaborating with Propagandhi on you guys did a split, I guess.
Yeah, I moved here and then went back in the summer and got those guys from Regina and then brought them all. Yeah, they all moved here. And yeah, so somewhere in between there, I was kind of like met Chris. Like I moved here, then yeah, and yeah, we played a show and Chris was there and he was like, he remembered me just from us seeing each other out just walking around on the streets or whatever. So he stayed and watched us and he dug it. And then, yeah, and then he asked us to open a show for Propagandhi when we all came back the next year. So,
Wow. So I mean, you guys obviously got very tight with the band, and then I know that pretty soon after Let's Talk, um, Samson had left the band, right? For
yeah, I think they did maybe a couple tours with John, like maybe to Europe and one of the States. I think a pretty long one of the States, maybe.
okay. And then so I mean, where was Chris just like talking to you right away about you taking over or coming in, or what was going on with that whole process?
We were, well, I lived with Chris at the time. Either I did or else like it was like right after we lived together, maybe. No, I think yeah, it was after we lived together. Yeah. So we lived together, and then he moved to another house at some point, but we'd still see each other all the time, obviously. And then yeah, I think we were just like we were going to get like these vegan ice cream sandwiches or whatever, and he said like if he said something like if said would you want to fill in if we whatever, I can't remember what it was, if we got rid of John or John quit or whatever. He said like, "Would you want to fill in?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." And then we're like, "Okay, set."
Right on.
Yeah. So yeah, I was just gonna kind of fill in and whatever, but or at least that you know what I mean, like whatever. We're just friends, you know.
Well,
Yeah.
like I've listened to, I Spy and Propaganda, and like there's a through line there, but when he asked you to fill in or even like eventually join, was it a big change in kind of what you were doing previously? Like, did you approach it any differently when you joined Propaganda?
I suppose so because I was on bass suddenly, you know. So
Okay.
it becomes like I guess a little more difficult to have your ideas across in jamming, you know,
Yeah.
right off the bat, you know, and then just, I guess, it was just different people, you know what I mean? So it was like, it just seemed like it was completely different. Like Chris and Jordan are different guys than the guys from I Spy. Like just, yeah, I mean, anytime you shift jamming with people, it's just different, you know? So yeah, but like Chris and Jordan they're way more interested in being tight and whatever than I Spy, you know? So
That's cool.
yeah, it was fun. I was just kind of jamming with whatever, just having fun.
Well, that's cool. 'Cause I mean, I thought you guys brought a really cool. I think, I mean, obviously you with your metal influences, and I know that they are also very influenced by thrash. I mean, obviously there's
Yeah.
the Canadian thing with Voivod and all that stuff, but also like Exodus and Slayer and all those bands. I mean, was that obviously? I mean, that was a very good, meshing point with you three right there. Because I think with Samson, he was a lot more indie style than those two guys were, and I think that's kind of like what they brought to their sound in their first two records. But you guys were more of the hardcore thrash metal,
Yeah,
thing that.
well when I first met Chris, like besides just seeing each other at record stores and nodding at each other or whatever, like I remember we just started talking about bands like Voivod and all that and like I'm a few years younger than those guys, but we actually kind of grew up listening to the exact same bands, like straight across the board, you know, from like the Doughboys, the Nils, like these old Canadian punk bands, you know, Dayglow,
Yeah.
MDC, like all our favorite bands were the same, like pretty much like COC, uh, you know, and then the thrash bands, we were talking about Voivod, Sacrifice, like we literally liked every single band the same, so it kind of, you know what I mean, when you're music fans, it's kind of cool. Oh, good, cool, these guys, and I liked Propagandhi, right? So it's
Of course.
like we all like exactly the same thing. It's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Can I ask kind of an off-topic question then?
Yeah.
Now, whenever I've gone on tour in Canada or when Chris was on my other podcast, I hear Canadians say propaganda, which makes sense because it's propaganda. I get that. In America, everyone that I know that listens to you guys, me included, we always say propaganda because I think that
Yeah.
it's like propaganda mixed with Gandhi. Because is that true? Is there two ways to say it, or am I always saying it wrong?
I would say there's like kind of two ways, you know, like I think it's like obviously the proper way to say Celtic frost is Celtic frost, but like when you're like you know in a prairie kid like us, like it was Celtic frost because
Me
you
too.
didn't really know about Celtic people, but you knew about the Boston Celtics, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like, sometimes you'll see like younger people like it's not Celtic frost, it's Celtic frost, you know? But in a way you're like, ah, but old school people actually called it Celtic frost, so whatever, because we were all dumb or whatever.
I mean, speaking of other
Like
Canadian
it's almost
bands,
more legit.
no, I remember I had a friend one time ask me, "Do you listen to Alex is on Fire?"
Oh yeah, yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, "I listen to Alexis on Fire. I don't listen to Alex is on Fire." So I just always thought it's funny how, people don't really know. And I didn't when Chris was on my show, he never like corrected me, but I felt
Yeah,
kind of like a dipshit because I've heard so many people say propaganda, and I have a hard time switching because my whole life
yeah, yeah.
said it the other way. So
Yeah, it's like yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think it really who really cares? It's almost like just where do you break up the word in the way you're thinking of it, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like
Absolutely.
you're either breaking it up at here or there, so either one could be right, you know?
Well, I tell you what, I'm going to reel this in a little bit because you are here to talk about an amazing record that we both love. Chris and I, Chris, the two Chris's above you, we both love this very, very much. It means the world to us, and I know it means the world to so many other people. But
Yeah, right.
I want to give some footnotes on it, and then we want to kind of get your take. And I'll start it out. So let me see. Today's Empires, Tomorrow's Ashes. It was released on February 6th, 2001. It was Propagandhi, I'll say it, Propagandhi's third studio album. It marked a significant shift in the band's sound and lyrical approach. It was your first record with the band. And I feel like you brought in a heavier, kind of more hardcore influence energy. Like, this is kind of where I draw the line with kind of where you guys are now and what the band used to be. Like when this record came out, I loved the band, but it definitely did jump into this new kind of less skate punky, less what I would associate with Fat Records into something that was to me completely all your own. Like I didn't know a lot of bands back in the day or now that sounded anything like Propagandhi. So
Right.
can you speak a little bit about that? I mean, like we were just talking about you joining the band and coming from similar backgrounds, liking similar bands, but this record, it almost was like a 180 for me when I heard it.
Yeah. I guess well, like from our perspective, uh like me and Chris, we were also like kind of just playing bass and guitar and that on the side with James, the drummer from I Spy, and just kind of doing our own thing, like just for fun, you know. Uh, so we kind of, I kind of knew what we were like, just like we had a feeling like, yeah, this could be, you know what I mean? Like we'd be cool. And then, yeah, I think we were kind of noticing like the Fat Records thing was just starting to become like ad nauseum, like everyone, you know what I mean? Like there's just like just uninteresting to us, you know? So it was like, just like, okay, we don't want to do that, you know? And it literally felt to me like, I don't know how much longer this can last, even like just bands doing that same thing over and over.
Yeah.
So we're like just trying to break away. And I think I was like, me personally, I was just trying to just play what I wanted to hear, I suppose, you know?
Yeah.
I thought it'd be kind of cool to hear something that's like trying to mix like what we like and what we're doing already mixed with like, you know, old COC and like more of the off time stuff like Fate's Warning and stuff, like sliding
Yeah.
around and just kind of put everything you like in there, and to see what happens. Like, yeah,
Yeah, the one thing I did notice about, I mean, when you got, especially around that time, like 2000, 2001, was like, there's like, you had the A originators and it got to the B copycats. And then by that time, it hit the C League, where it was just like everybody was trying to sound exactly like that same, let's do two
yeah,
PMs the whole time. And I mean, when you guys came on, I mean, I think that was like a saving grace for not only the band, but also for the label. Because I mean, it
right,
was getting, okay, here's another Fat Records. It's going to sound like Fat Records band. And so when that album came out, I'm like, I remember like putting the CD in as soon as I mean, back in the day, CDs were in cars, and you put the CD in
right,
the
right.
car. And I remember going, well, this isn't, I mean, just from the intro of the first song, I'm going,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
this is not Propagandhi that I know. I was like stoked. And I was
Oh,
telling
good, cool,
that
yeah,
by the time I got to Fuck the Borders, that breakdown, I was in my car. I wanted to just smash the glass of every part of my truck because I
all
just got
right.
so amped up. I mean, I never heard anything like that in my life. It was just like I was blown away by that. So I mean,
Oh,
take us
good.
through like what the whole songwriting process was, because I mean, here you are, you're like you're kind. I mean, even though you're tight with all the guys and you're the new guy in the band, but I mean, how do you guys start this whole process of like creating these songs?
I guess the first song was "Fuck the Border" because that was actually an I Spy song.
Okay,
Like we played it, and then like Chris liked it. I guess we just started playing it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
We weren't really thinking too much about too much stuff. And then I think the other thing we started with was "Ladies' Night in Loserville," so we had kind of those two songs going, and
yes,
just kind of went from there. Yeah, we were just in George's basement jamming like a lot. Like whatever 4 or 5 times a week. Like I think every day, almost. And so we just go down there, jam, and have fun half the like you know what I mean. You go there and like half the time we'd be sitting on the couch, just sometimes not even make it to the jam. You know what I mean? Start beaking off on the couch and insulting people and stuff. And then oh shit, we forgot the jam. It's already 5 o'clock. Okay, see you guys. But you know how it is.
Well,
Yeah, it's pretty fun times actually. Until I would think like until this record, I think it was like the most fun I had making a record. You know what I mean with those guys? Yeah, and then
what's the question? Because I mean, you joined the band in 97, 98. Is that about correct?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So there's a pretty big gap there. I mean, I know there was like I know that Jordan had broken a couple bones over the course of this time, and
Right, yeah, he broke his
um,
foot. Yeah.
yeah, and so I mean, there's obviously delays there. So I mean, was there were you guys getting were you guys sending stuff to Fat and seeing what they thought, or were you guys just like
No,
that's
no,
awesome,
yeah, we didn't care what they thought really. Like,
that's great,
and by the time it came out, like I don't think Fat Mike even liked it. Like the people at the label did, but yeah, like even now, like our concern, like we truly don't care who likes. Like we're not playing for, you know what I mean? Like we're just having fun making the songs we want to hear, and
as it should be.
yeah, like I think if no one liked it, we'd be just like, we'd literally be like, "Fuck, are you stupid?"
Yeah. Well, man, it's kind of like the same route that Rush took with 2112. I mean, they were told to make something more mainstream and said, okay, and like, well, I'd rather die up here where we are and be proud
Yeah,
than make something and not be proud of what we are. So I mean, that's I
yeah,
think like Rush, like bands like do that. I mean, that's like that's great that you didn't give a shit. It's like okay, it's the three of us. It's what we want to do. That's fantastic to hear
yeah.
that.
I,
Like, can you imagine if you like went the other way and you tried to like make all these people happy, and then it was a failure and they didn't like it and no one liked it, and you're like, you know what I mean? You're just
Yeah,
like,
I, I
like
always
you lose in every way.
I
yeah,
always
exactly.
loved that you guys had that attitude. Like I just remember every time I'd ever see in print or anything with you or Chris or Jord or whatever around that time or past that time, it's like, yeah, you're on Fat Records. So many people would love to be on Fat Records, but it's our fucking band. Like
Yeah,
like I it would be nice if Mike and everybody liked it, but it's not like we're gonna bend what we're fucking propaganda. Like this is what we do. Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I love that that's the attitude and it's never changed.
yeah. Exactly. It's like that's why when I first heard Propagandhi's tape, I was like, okay, this is to me like awesome and special. It's like just like these guys are different. It's just I could tell by the lyrics, like it's you know what I mean. They have their own thing going, and that's what attracted me to it, as opposed to like other things that would have been like roughly similar, you know?
Of course, yeah. I mean,
I would like to talk a little bit about that because, you can't really talk about the band without getting into some political themes. And the thing that always kind of struck me is that it wasn't, I mean, all of the normal issues are in the music. Like if you're a political band, you talk about, all these different things. But one thing that I always loved about you guys is that you tackled kind of issues that were a little bit more, I don't know, maybe underground or like not a lot of people are really, you were spreading awareness. Like there's the song where you're talking about East Timor, like, the
Right,
struggle
yeah.
for their independence. That opened my mind up to stuff when I was, because I mean, this came out, when did this come out? 2001?
yeah.
Yeah, 2001, yeah.
I was in college trying to not flunk out of college. And when I heard this and I'm listening to these lyrics and it makes you want to investigate what the song's about because it's not just ooh ooh baby and songs about girls and shit. Like I like enough of that shit. I don't need that all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I listen to this stuff, like it made me crack open a book and check out what's going on in East Timor. Like it blows my mind that you guys have like made me more aware of the world and struggles that people are going through. And I think you've made your lyrics and Chris's lyrics and the band as a whole, you guys have just made me a more empathetic person.
Yeah, I think that's the actual goal of the band, you know?
Yeah.
And like that song was because like we knew a woman from East Timor, you know, and just kind of knowing her and you're just like, yeah, same thing. Like I gotta find out more about this because of her, you know? I think it's like the benefit of like if you're gonna like it's kind of the problem if you're like a punk and you're want to be in like a punk scene and all your friends are punks and everyone's doing something, even if it's an activist scene or whatever. Like
Yeah.
I think it's like to me you have to try to exist in like the real world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like uh
Absolutely.
you know, then you end up with different lyrics and different objectives than just like some like vague like you know, we will fight, we will stand
Yeah.
up. You know what I mean? And like, but in reality, you don't mean you will fight or you will stand up. You mean you will go to concerts and you know what I mean? Like you will
Yeah.
stand up at this concert because there's no chairs to sit down, but that's about as far as you know.
Like I love that bands, even if they have a broad message, like, fuck the man and, stand up for people's rights. But I just love that it was so centralized with you guys,
Yeah,
like, so specific. Like, I don't mean to harp on it, but a song about East Timor, I have friends that don't even know what East Timor is. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
they don't even know that it's a country. They don't know, I know the capital's Dili because I'm a geek and I know the capital of every country in the world. But what I'm saying is like that kind of stuff that meant a lot to me. And I'm not trying to just, Todd, I love you. I do. I love your band. I think you guys are great, but you guys made me a better person. And I think that's great if that not only is it fun to rock out and you guys are an amazing band, but you did have a lasting impact on me now as a 46-year-old man, how I look at the world and how I treat people. You guys
Yeah,
had a
cool.
lot to do with that.
Well, yeah, yeah. I think that's what we got from the bands that we like, you know. And I think our like the lyrics, like it's not just like trying to tell other people this, but it's like us like you're trying to tell yourself like here's what I think, and these lyrics will like I'll try to hold myself to this myself like through these lyrics. Like I'm putting these down, and like even as you know we sit here as we're 50, like you look back, like if I was to look at old Propagandhi, old I Spy lyrics, like or even what I thought when I was a kid, like did I live up to this? Like would I be proud of who I am now, or would I just be embarrassed and ashamed of myself? You know, and
So
it's
what,
like there
what's
in print where you can see in your old songs, like, do I still have this spirit? Do I not? You know?
yeah. I mean, the one thing I the one thing I took away from this record when I first heard it was the first two records. were very, very politically charged, and it was also, pro-gay, pro-feminist, anti-Nazis, all that great stuff that you guys, the messages that you guys spurred up. You guys did it with a kind of with a wit, with also like humor. You guys mixed it up with humor. This one was not that at all. You guys had totally said, okay, well, we're just going to go ahead and say straight up what we want. You heard that on the from the first note to the last note to Purina Hall of Fame.
Right.
What was the whole? I mean, was that consciously what you guys were trying to do, or was that something that just came out?
I guess from my thing, I was never really a funny lyric writer, so it's more like Chris's angle maybe. Uh, but yeah, I think he would like. I think he's just like not thinking about it. You know what I mean? Like, I think he was like throwing in his like little funny jabs and that in Motor League or wherever, and
Oh yeah,
like there's little subtle funny things, or like in that COINTEL Pro, like if you know what I mean, if you lived in Winnipeg and you kind of like, or if you know Chris and you kind of like are assuming you know exactly who he's talking about, it becomes a little funnier than like, you know what I mean? Like, so
yeah.
like I read it, yeah, I know what you're talking about, and then like, so to me, it's probably funnier than the
I
random
feel
hearing it.
that Dally, I feel like you're right, but I feel like there was quite a bit
Well, yeah,
of
the
of
Judas
that
Priest
ton.
had another thing
Oh yeah,
coming.
you got another thing coming, and then like even like I like to party fucking hard. I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean that's to me that drew me in. That was always what drew me in was like, oh, it's kind of funny, and then oh, now I'm thinking about the shit because
Yeah,
it's a nice mixture of the two, you know.
I agree.
yeah, it's like I remember the old Propagandhi records, and like I'd see reviews, and it'd be like, like they're just assuming that like because of the lyrics, like, oh, they're university guys, you know what I mean? But like I think it's like kind of like maybe this record like kind of, yeah, just tried to inject more of like uh yeah, just that kind of, yeah, like more, it's kind of more, not more, just it's just a different outlook,
Yeah.
like we are not like intellectuals trying to sit there being smart, you know what I mean? Like it's just like that's not what this is about, is us trying to like be smart.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this question because I mean, I'm a drummer. The one thing I noticed about especially George is that
Mhm.
he was always a fantastic drummer, but it seemed like he just got better with every record. Uh,
Yeah,
and you heard the influential metal stuff coming in, especially on this record, just when you really first heard it.
yeah,
Um, and I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. Every album you guys release, I'm like, he can't get better. I'm like, fuck, he got better. Um,
yeah.
um,
I think yeah. I think it's like for as far as like drummer influences, like I think like we'd always be like how like talking about Away from Voivod, Reed Mullen from COC, uh No Means No, like those type of things, where it's like we had our like, like don't play this beat like no effects or whatever. Do it more like Dayglow,
that's
or
awesome.
that's more George saying that to himself. Like I'm not gonna play this beat like that. I'm gonna play it more like Dayglow. Like and like even like when we recorded our new record, JP's like he's like these beats like they're different than like uh what most people would do in under that. And yeah, when me and George were talking, yeah, it's because it's trying to be more old school like Dayglow or something than it is. So it gives the music a different feel just because of the kick pattern.
Of course. So I mean, you guys go into the studio, you guys start recording with Ryan Green. Was that your call to do Ryan Green,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
okay?
yeah.
So you guys go to Motor Studios, which is like the famous Fat Record Studio.
Right.
Uh, how is that process going? Was it a pretty easy thing? I know you guys were trying to do new things with the recording process and all this stuff, and I think that's why the record came out the way it did initially. Um, so yeah,
Yeah,
take us through that.
I think we didn't know, like we'd only like we didn't know too much about recording. Like I know we had like Slayer
Yeah,
South of Heaven, we should Ryan Green, like we wanted this stuff to heaven. But really like what we should have just done is like we just kind of want natural sounds as we can, and like when we got it remixed, that's basically what we did was got it kind of closer back to what we actually recorded, you
Yeah.
know, and like I feel like if the record would have come out like that, it would have even been way more like people would have been
Was
like,
that a
holy.
struggle? Was that a struggle between you and Ryan? Because like the stuff that he was putting out at the time that he was working on Fat and anything else, it had a very polished, almost sheen on it. And I'm
Yeah.
not saying that this album had that because you wanted that rawer sound, but was there a struggle like in the mixing process or even in the tracking process where he was going for kind of those signature Fat Ryan Green tones and you guys wanted something different?
I think we maybe like I tracking with him was really easy. I remember that. Like, you know what I mean? I just felt like I just go in there and play my bass. He's positive about it. He's just recording what you're playing, you know, and I don't really remember even being too picky or anything. Like I don't really even remember doing too many takes or anything. Like just kind of we went there and just kind of did it and it was like happy everyone's good. And then just as the mixing went on, like I remember just getting confused. You know what I mean? Because if you don't record that much and you're in a big studio and whatever, like you're not really. I wasn't quite sure what I was hearing. You know, I remember just feeling like lost, like yeah, literally that. Like I don't know what I'm hearing anymore. And
Oh, wow.
then we got home and we were kind of like disappointed a little bit in the guitar sound and that. So we actually went back and retracked the guitar again.
Oh,
But
wow.
Chris like used the same guitar with the same pickup, so we re-recorded it. And we're still like, you know what I mean, still disappointed. And then, yeah, and then we got it mastered a couple times. Like me and Chris even went down, probably said some stuff that threw the mastering guy off because we were dumb. And yeah, we were just kind of confused. And then the record came out. I remember hearing it, just like, I don't know if I like the sound of this too much. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
just kind of disappointed. Like I remember listening to like I knew we laid down something that was like better. Like I remember like not really being able to hear the kick drum too well on the mix, like listening like all this stuff and we're in like some bass fills and all that were like kind of lost and it was like just a lot of stuff. I was like, I know what we recorded was like I knew it was in there somewhere, but you know what I mean? But and then yeah, when we remastered it there or remixed it and remastered it with
Yeah.
Jason, you know, and you hear like, okay, this is close. I think just because just like there was no impression that it wanted to, like there's no one thinking that it needed this kind of certain sound, you know, like Ryan, did a good job, and he was just I think thinking more of that Fat Record sound, which is what we actually didn't really want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's just kind of like he did good, but it was just not what we were looking for. And then when it got stripped away and like updated with today's ear, then like it came out. I was like, okay. Like for a while, like I was thinking like Empires is like the record of ours I like the least, really. But then when it was remixed, I was like, dude, this like then I moved it. Like I like this record better than like you know what I mean? And I thought I think I like this record better than I like the Potemkin record, you know?
Yeah.
Just
Wow.
like after it was yeah, just in overall, I was like, yeah, this is a good record actually.
Was all this stuff happening? Because I mean, I remember like the album was supposed to be released in October of 2000, then it got delayed to a month later, then it got delayed again in February. Was that the reason why that there was like
Yeah,
a
I assume so, yeah. Yeah,
so
that
I'm
was
like I was getting excited because I mean, I remember you guys released Back to the Motor League like early on before the record was actually released.
oh really? Okay, yeah.
And I think it was actually on the G7 website, I believe.
Really? Oh, okay.
I think so.
Oh
So I
wow.
was like being stoked, and then like nothing's coming on. I'm like, okay, so all of a sudden, like I was actually shocked because after hearing it was delayed, I actually went to this. There's a record store here. I live in Southern California. I don't live in LA. I live in a little away from there, but
Okay.
uh, I just walked in and I saw it. I'm like, oh, it came out. And like, and I asked the guy, I'm like, when did it come out? He goes, it came out today. So
Oh, okay.
I was like shocked. I'm like, I mean, I've picked up. So I was like wondering, like, that had to be the reason why it was delayed because I mean, obviously the frustrations of mixing, mastering, and obviously redoing retakes and all that stuff. So I mean, was that kind of getting frustrating on your guys' end too?
Oh yeah, and to think of how much money it cost us, and like a couple times we like drove all the way to San Francisco, like from Winnipeg, it's like
Oh, geez.
across the entire, like just so it's like long drives and yeah, just like you're just throwing your money away and you're just like, oh, holy shit. And it was also like the record came out right when downloading started. So it was like leaked, and then before the record's even out, like it was almost like the first time I was really on the internet too. So
Yeah.
like I go on the internet, I just saw someone bagging on it, like some review. And then like, the way that I didn't sound quite the way I want. And then like a lot of people in Winnipeg, like people I knew were just like, I don't like it very much. Like, and they're all like sad that Samson's gone. And I'm just like, okay, I guess no one likes this record, whatever, fuck them. And I was just like, I just thought, whatever, okay. None of my friends care. This guy gave it a bad review, whatever. I guess no one likes it, whatever. But then when we went on tour and we get to the States and all the shows are packed and everyone's likes it and going nuts, I was like, what the hell? I was like, okay.
Dude, my,
Especially that time.
my friends, when it came out, we were in love, man.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Like we loved the band anyway, and we loved the first two records. And when that came out, so I don't know what the people in Winnipeg's problem was because we dug it
Yeah.
out of the gate, man.
Yeah. I think it's just whatever they got just used to what, when people get used to what something is and they can't accept where it's going. That's why, like I've always thought, like I actually heard guys talking about AI is like AI can always like replicate what you've done, but it can't replicate where you're going.
Yeah.
And I've always thought that the same thing about like listeners. Like when they're thinking of your next record, they're only judging like variations of what you've done.
Yeah.
Like they can't see where you're going. So like people will be like, oh, what's the next record gonna be like? But really they have no idea because like you're the artist, they're not the artist. And
Yeah.
it's your job to make them see something that they couldn't see until it's there. And then they're like, yeah, this is what I wanted.
Well,
Like that's my philosophy.
I mean, that was the cool thing about that record when it came out. I mean, like every track that came on. I mean, from Fuck the Borders, hearing George drumming on that one to hearing
Yeah.
Chris's guitar solo on Back to the Motor League, which I think is just
Oh yeah,
criminally underrated. I think that solo is just one of his all-time best. So it's perfectly well done.
yeah, cool.
What was obviously you guys. I think you guys all helped each other grow as musicians, as on that record too. I mean, you guys, it was like a new level for you guys. I mean, it's
Yeah.
a new level for Propagandhi. And I
Yeah,
think
well, yeah, I think like George's brother is like a really like maestro on the piano. Like he's insane. So I think like he's upstairs playing his piano while we're jamming. And you kind of like so Jordy's like he's such talented, like he grew up playing piano and his mom's a piano teacher, his brother's a maestro, so he's like highly musical. And probably like his brother up there maestroing, like we don't want to be too lame down there. And then and I was listening to like Fate's Warning and like there being and like we all like death, human and like all this stuff. It's just like you and I grew up as a kid. My friend he's like insane guitar player. So there's always something in me that uh like I can't have my friend Chris hear our record and we're just sucking. You know what I mean? It's like it'd be an embarrassment to me as like a human being.
yeah.
Just that, it's all these little things and then like me wanting to like and Chris and Jordan themselves, like all of us wanting to like get some energy in the real punk feel that we like as opposed to like this like candy cookie cutter like back when like if you really listen to those old bands like Bad Brains, like all the stuff we like, The Accused, like they're hardly even the same type of music. You know
Absolutely.
what I mean? Like if I think of those two bands, it's like they're both fast, and that's and like they're picking fast, but beyond that, it's like almost no similarity. And like
That's
that's what
crazy. That's crazy. I mean, I agree. I mean, Bad Brains. I mean, that first album alone, the yellow album, which I mean, I still get goosebumps when I even talk about it right now.
yeah.
Um, just that, I mean, that was because I was like, that was not what you did. That was not the norm. And the fact that, I mean, they still, okay, well, you think we're gonna make the same record? No, here comes I Against I. Here comes like this kind of stuff too. It's like they never, they were never proud. They were never stoked to just stay the same. And I think that's what
Yeah.
they're great too.
Yeah, yeah, and like, yeah, it's so awesome. Like those bands, or like, have you guys ever heard the Doughboys, the old Canadian band?
Yeah.
Like, if you were to take the Accused and the Doughboys, like there, you would nowadays say like these are two completely different genres of music. You know what I mean? But back then, it was like, no, they're both just punk bands, you know?
Yeah.
And like, I think literally, like, I really think that's what we're trying to do. Is just like, how do we get like the Doughboys, COC, Death, Fates Warning, like all this shit into one thing, but
Yeah.
still maintains your own personality, you know? Like, where did
Absolutely.
this start? Who am I? Like not just like, okay, let's put a Death riff here, Doughboys riff here, and just like, okay, now we're on the Doughboys riff. Okay, now we're on the Death riff. Now, and then it's just this jumbled piece of crap. But if you can like maintain your own voice, like what do I legitimately want to hear? Like if I put on a record right now, what do I want to hear? I don't want to hear a band copying No Effects. I don't want to hear a band copying The Accused. I don't want to hear a band copying the Doughboys. I don't want to hear none of that. All I want to hear is like, what does this person have to say? And like, who are they? Who is this person? That's what you want to know.
I
That's
think that you guys, in doing that and being yourself and putting things together that you liked, I think it was a really cool thing because I'll tell you, man, growing up in the Midwest, I had a lot of metal friends that hated punk rock. And then I had a lot of punk rock friends that hated metal, but the band that they could all agree on was you guys. Like,
Yeah,
like all the
hopefully,
metal
yeah.
guys liked it and all the punk kids liked it. And I just always thought that was so cool. To me, it was almost like you guys evolved to this point to where you're not going to do all the tropes that are in metal. You're
Yeah,
not
yeah.
you're not going to do all the tropes that are in punk. Instead, you're going to shed both of those and then create this new thing, which is straight to the point, no fat, no pun intended, fat records, but like
right. Right.
trimmed all the fat. It it is exactly what it is, and it's melodic, and it has meaning, and the guitar riffs are rad, but they're not overdone. They're not cheesy. To me, it was like the most potent kind of music I had ever heard.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
Being a punk and a metal guy together. Do you have a personal favorite track on this record? And if so, like, why does it resonate so well with you?
I guess like I think there's quite a bunch of good songs, but I guess like yeah, the first one, Mate K. Maurice, however you would actually say that, I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah,
That's
I've tried to
I never
figure it
said
out.
that.
Yeah.
I've never said that coming. I wasn't trying to say it right.
Like I like in Purina, like I remember when we were doing the breakdown, like, with the uh it was like an explosive case under a terminal bench, like that
Yes.
idea.
Yeah.
Like I like that it was like making me picture like the scene, like the whole song. Like I could picture the scene.
Yeah.
I like the COINTELPRO, like I like the just the break between stuff.
Yeah.
I liked the idea of ordinary people and all the riffing. Like I think maybe just like I now I wish parts of the vocals weren't so over the top, like so it had more of a. But at the time I was like also like I like Drop Dead and Los Crudos, those like just blazing hardcore bands.
Yeah.
Like I liked how they're just shredding themselves. Like so I was like, you know what I mean? Like there's something when I listen to Crudos and Drop Dead, I'd be like, fuck yeah, are they going for it? You know? So I was trying to mix like literally like that feeling of going berserk with like Fate's Warning, those off time riffs, you know?
Yeah.
'Cause I was listening to like, yeah, just like Fate's Warning. So I was like, what if it was like a Fate's Warning song with fucking like Drop Dead and Crudos singing over it instead of Ray Alder, you know? Like, cause Ray Alder's singing all high and it's perfect, you know? I was
Yeah.
like, that'd be nuts, you know? But like it like maybe the song didn't quite turn out as well as I hoped, but it's like I liked the idea of what was trying to be achieved, you know? Like when I hear it, I'm like, fuck, dude, this is so close to being the coolest thing, you know?
Well, I mean, as a guy, like I said, I grew up in Southern California. My dad was the bass player for the Dickies from '87 to '90.
Oh, really? Oh, cool.
So, I mean, but my first love was metal. I mean, my first concert was Kiss and Motley Crue on the Creatures of the Night tour when I was 5.
Oh, right on, yeah. That was
I
my
saw
first.
all those. Nice. I mean, I just saw Maiden for my 40th time right now.
Holy
Um,
shit.
but the thing was, I mean, when Today's Empires came out, I'm like, you guys just meshed my two favorite styles together, and you guys did it so well. You guys didn't overly do it on either end. You just created this new kind of thing, and I think that's honestly what made that album resonate with so many people, especially in America. Because I think by the time that record came out, America was really really tired of the
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and so were we. So were you guys, you know what I mean? Yeah.
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 And so I mean, when it came out, I mean, obviously, I mean, so you guys tour America, obviously it does really well. Um, and so I mean, when you guys like came back, start writing again, were you guys making a point not to do the same thing? Or you guys were just gonna just do whatever came out naturally?
Yeah, I think literally, you know, it's just you sit there with your guitar playing. As soon as something perks your ear, you kind of go that way. Like, I guess, yeah, like, not to change records, but like on Potemkin, I was actually listening to lots of music from like Molly and, uh, uh, fuck yeah, wherever Yuso Endures from, I forget all of a sudden, but stuff like that. And I was like, I really liked how the Molly guitar players would like tickle the notes, you know?
Yeah.
Like that's what yeah, I was trying to get that in, you know, like the fuck, I can't remember the name of the song, but like whatever. But if you listen to that record, you can like, if you were to think about it on my songs, you can hear like if you were to think about it, you'd be like, oh yeah, that's what that is. That's the guy's trying to play like it's like like music from Molly, but it's in Propagandhi.
Well, and I think the melodic choices got broader on Potemkin as well.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, there's a lot
yeah.
of melody. There's a lot of melody on the record we're talking about, but that's the one thing that I've always loved about the band. Every subsequent record that's come out since the third record, there's been, I won't call them hooks. I mean, there are hooks, but the one reason I'm not a huge Slayer fan is because I like melody. If it's
Right,
heavy
right.
or if I have to have something I can grasp onto. And that's the one thing with Propaganda. There's always really cool. Like, I'm not even talking about the leads. I'm talking about like maybe when you guys break into like a little clean part or
Right, yeah.
even when we know when Chris is riffing through stuff really, really fast, there are chords almost. They're not just like fifths and you know what I mean? Like they're
Yeah,
full
yeah, yeah.
on chords. So
Yeah.
was that something that maybe you didn't consciously mean to happen, but started happening as the albums kept coming? Like, is melody important to you guys when you're writing?
Yeah, the like the chord thing, like as far as my like me playing, I'd say me and Chris influence each other quite a bit. I think what he liked about I Spy probably originally is like when I was a kid, I was playing my guitar, I was playing all these metal riffs, you know? And this kid I knew, he just goes, all you're doing is moving the same chord all over the place. Like a power chord. And it
Yeah.
literally made me paranoid. Like so, like even as a little kid, like I would make sure the chords were always changing, you know? So if this kid ever saw me again, he couldn't say that. And that's a different kid than my friend who was really good. It was just a random kid, you know, he didn't even play guitar, I don't think. And like so by the time I was in I Spy, like there's almost no power chords, like ever. You know what I mean? Like even now, like I if you were to listen to any of our records on any of my songs, there's virtually no almost no power chords, maybe even to the song's own detriment, because power chords are awesome, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
of
like,
course.
you know what I mean? So like me and Chris interplaying, like he's learning my songs, lots of chords, I'm learning his, and it just like, you know what I mean? It just kind of morphs like, you know what I mean? Like trying to play new things.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, but a lot of it is, yeah, just born out of age-old paranoia.
The one thing that I was kind of weird because my wife was curious, you know, like she likes, you know, some of the music I play or whatever like that, but she's not really in detail like I am.
Right.
So actually she has plenty of Propagandhi songs. So I was on YouTube and I played her Failed Imagineer, and she was the thing that blew her away the most was your bass part on the breakdown of it.
Oh,
She's
right
like,
on.
"Oh,
Cool.
that
Yeah.
is," because that is really cool. I've never heard that in a punk song before. Like do 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 do, like you're it's showing you doing it on there. I'm like,
Oh,
so
yeah,
she
yeah, yeah.
I think she was, wow, this I need to start listening to this band more. I said, yeah, I've told you that a long time ago. So,
Yeah.
uh, and I mean, it's cool to just see that, you know, seeing her like get into it like now, it's like, it's just like seeing these fans get over and over more into your band as like time goes on too, which is great. But the big thing too, I mean, did you guys see a shift from the records when you guys remixed and remastered it? Why did it take so long to do it? I mean, it was like a good 20 years to do the remix and remastering.
I guess you know what I mean. You're just kind of just like Chrissy's. He's a little more of like he wants to hear it right in a way. Like he wants to hear what we're going for. Like I think it was if it was just me, that would be like a record that was just like whatever, you know. But he has
Yeah.
the original master tapes, and he can listen to them at his house and stuff, you know. Like I guess he can't listen to the original masters anymore, but I think they've been transferred, you know. I don't know what he's doing, but he's listening. He's like, no, it's what he's like, what we have there, we like it was good, like what we laid down, you know, like we should just get it remixed by Jason and you know, like Jason understands us, what we're going for, you know.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
usually like we'll send our stuff to Jason, he'll do something, and then we'll be like, you know, like like I'll be like, I need my bass like a little more like this. Chris will be like, just do this little thing. It's just tiny little things, you know. And then Jason,
Yeah.
he's really receptive to just like, okay, sounds good, and like he'll do it, but he's a lot smarter and more professional than us, so he like just dials it in that little, you know, like dials it in better than I could. And then
Yeah.
it's like, hey, this guy got what we want because he's like he's listening to us, but he's also like a true professional at doing it, you know? And so it's like we have the best of both worlds. Like we have what we want, and then we have a guy who can do it better than we can. So it's like it's kind of awesome.
Because I mean, yeah, the drums sounded like huge now. Your bass has a way more presence now on the record,
Yeah,
and also
yeah,
just I think just I mean, it's the Chris guitars. I mean, it's just it's got this like grit that it didn't have before on that first
yeah,
run.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, and I just like I mean when I first and the main thing I was actually curious about like when I got heard the remix is why you guys didn't do the intro this time like with the woman. Was there a
Yeah, from I guess it's just like it's one of those things. Just like, should we just do it just so it's different? Uh,
that's cool.
yeah, it probably should have been left. You know, like it gives good context, but I think just maybe Chris was like, should we just start with just the note, you know, and then
Yeah,
you're just, yeah, I mean, you're like, yeah, people have been hearing the other version for like 20 years, you know, like why not just start this song, you know?
that's
Like,
awesome.
yeah. And
I kind
and when I say that about Jason, like I don't say that to like in any way disparage Ryan because like he got what was the sound of the time, right? It's just the sound of the time wasn't gelling with our aesthetics of what we personally want, I guess, you know?
Yeah,
I kind of wanted to know, you know, I feel like this record this record doesn't get talked enough in the the discography of the band. And that's one reason why we wanted to talk about it, because it's one of our favorites. I mean, not that we don't like every other record we do, but this record has kind of resonated with listeners across multiple generations now. It's been out for so long. What do you think makes this record endearing to people? What do you think is it that this record has? Because I do think it has something.
Yeah. I think it has like the spirit of like relatively young people going for it the best they can with limited abilities. Like I feel like that about Potemkin too. Like that record, I felt like it was held back by just our physical limitations. Like especially in my case, like my range, like I can only sing up to as high as like an E. You know what I mean? It's like it's limited. Like at that point, I'm like my voice is like I can't make any sound higher than that. Like a squeak, you know what I mean? Like I can't scream like higher than that. So it's like it's fine. You know what I mean? But at some point, like at that point, you don't understand that.
Yeah.
So like you're not even trying to work within it because you're just like, oh, I don't know, maybe if I try harder I could. uh yeah,
Well,
it's just it's interesting, but you have this spirit. I think people just react to the spirit. Yeah,
well, yeah. I mean, I think that I mean, you brought this up earlier too. Is that I mean, when you guys went to write the song, it was like basically fuck everybody around us. It's the three of us right here. We're not
yeah,
trying to appease anybody. It's the three of us in George's basement, and we're gonna just do what we can. And that's I think that it's honest is what it is. I think that's why it
yeah,
resonates still.
yeah. And I guess like just like anything, like you're hearing something that's from people from a different part of the world too, right? Like we're not so far away, but at the same time, like it's just enough influences are different, like I mean, like down there you have like whatever Van Halen, whatever, whereas we're listening to Helix, you know,
Yep.
or you have Motley Crue, but we're listening to Kick-Axe. You guys are listening to Descendants, we're listening to Doughboys and SNFU and the Nils, like just enough of these little things that make you from a different part of the world, and the things that went by give the listeners something that they haven't heard, like even if it's not intentionally, like because like we're like even on our new record, Chris plays this solo. It's like I'm like, yeah, that sounds like a Dayglow solo, like it's like and not many people are gonna go and play a Dayglow solo on a record, like that style, like that's a fucking solo, and like it's just like you could play a fucked solo, but it's like if you're from the East Coast, it's like you're likely more going to try to steal like a Bad Brains lick or
Kind of threat. Yeah.
whatever, or you're going to try to sound like the Cro-Mags or like any number of things, Against Me, whatever. And if you're from the West Coast, you're more likely to be like all the old punk stuff, like Circle Jerk, all these are your influence. So just
Absolutely.
like if I listen to a band from Germany, like you listen to the record "Für uns nicht" by, however you would say that too, I'm sure that's wrong, by But Alive. Like when I first heard that record, I was like, okay, these guys are doing something that is completely different, even though they're not trying to. Because you
Wow.
hear like I was like, there's nothing like this. Like just go check out that record, like FURUNSNIGHT. No,
I'll do that
NIC
today.
NICHT. Yeah, it's just like, and if you listen to the whole thing and you're like I instantly like I messaged the guy from But Alive, like, you guys are awesome, man. And then somewhere in there I was like, whatever. But then he like I sent him an I Spy CD or something too, and then like he got us to Europe, and then he got Propagandhi to Europe. I got But Alive to here, and I was just like, you know what I mean? It seemed like because you're hearing just something from somewhere else, and then like there's no way for a German band to really, really, really sound like an American band, and
Absolutely.
and that's good to me. That's good, and just like, you know what I mean? Like maybe like there's so much stuff from California, but maybe it's cool that that all sounds has that California sound, you know? Because that's where you're actually from. So, you know what I mean? Like it's just there's so much of it and so much stuff that we hear from New York that you're like uh in because the cities are so big and they're like media centers, you know? Like they have this like it's an uneven representation, you know? But at the same time, like it's I guess it is kind of cool that bands from New York are all trying to sound like this and or not trying to sound like that, but they have that flavor, right?
Yeah.
And,
Do
like
you feel like with, how big everything is on the internet now that homogenization, because I used to feel the way that you feel, like I'd hear a band from the East Coast and I knew they're from the East Coast. I'd hear a Southern California band, I knew they were from there. I feel like now, like I hear German bands that sound like they're from SoCal. And
yeah, yeah,
I
probably by
hear
now, yeah.
I hear Swedish bands that sound like they're a pop punk band from Florida. Like
Yeah.
I feel like now that it's so accessible to everyone, like back in the day when we were all growing up, you know, you'd have to do mail order, you'd have to do all this stuff. So all the bands from New York had a through line. All the bands
Yeah.
from like, even Winnipeg had a through line. Like nowadays, I feel like it's so accessible, but it still does happen, like you're saying. But I feel like it does almost get watered down to where you can hear a band and think you know where they're from, but they can be from somewhere completely different.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I'm probably like maybe my analogy's like 30 years old here.
Well, but you're talking to the right people because we're all in the same generation.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
Well,
I get it
so
nowadays. Yeah, it's hard now.
yeah.
Like, but it's kind of cool. Like, there is still the same like breadth of like difference, you know? It just doesn't feel like it. You know what I mean? Because like you can go like you know like Perkta or something, you know, these like Austrian witch bands, you know, like it's like if you're running the gamut and it's all heavy music from like Perkta to like I don't know, like the Descendants, like that's a huge gamut
Yeah.
of difference in heavy music, you know.
Yeah.
If you like you know relatively heavy music.
Yeah, I agree. It's crazy.
I, I
Well,
had
so
a I had a question. You talked about when you came to the States after maybe the reception from people in Canada or in your area wasn't the best. Then you came to America and the shows were big. And like what was that like for you? Had you toured the States before with I Spy? Were you used to like showing up and there'd be like a line of kids out front? Like how was that experience?
Um, well, I spy toured with Propagandhi a couple times already, so I was like, I guess I was already used to playing to that size of crowd because we were all already playing with Propagandhi, you know. And in Canada, it was like I would think it would be like it was like roughly like it wasn't like you know you're in the opening band and there's like five people and then the headliner's like packed, you know. It
yeah.
was like or at least I didn't notice that. Like I like you know your memory's always screwed, but like so I felt like I was already playing in front of the same size crowds. And I guess if I think of like empires, like I guess I say I go to the States and notice, but if I think about it now, yeah, we actually went to Eastern Canada first. So I think it was when we were heading across Eastern Canada, it's like, okay, people are into this record, you know? Then we got to the States, like every single show was sold out in the States. And I was like, holy shit, like every one of these shows is sold out. And I was like, and people are into it, you know? So I was just like, okay, I guess I just, yeah, I mean, like I had a few friends, like my friend Regal. Oh, Regal likes this record. It's good enough for me, I guess. You know, my brother was into it, whatever.
That's amazing. So I mean, obviously this album has a legacy of its own, along with the rest of your discography. I mean, everything up to Victory Lap. What's going on with you guys now? I mean, I'm hearing new records. So is that gonna be? Is
Yeah,
that?
I keep hearing you say new record, and I'm thinking the new record, right? Because we're really excited to hear anything
Yeah,
you
yeah.
say
We
about that.
just got we got our first final mix of one of the songs from Jason yesterday. So yeah, we kind of he sent us one, and we actually went through like just because it's the first song, like maybe nine iterations. So we got
Yeah,
the final one, and we're like, okay, we're rocking, like so there's all you hear little things like whatever, by the
yeah,
time it doesn't take much to get to nine iterations. Like it's one for the first one, because at first you're like, oh, can you do this to the bass? Can you do that to this? Whatever, blah blah blah. This little, then
Are
there's
you are
like,
you guys recording and just sending him stems to like tracks?
we record like we have everything completely done, and yeah, we just send it to him. Like
That's
I
what
guess,
my band's done for our last couple singles. We do everything on our own, and then we ship it over to or send it over to Jason. And so the iterations, like I know what you're talking about because every time you get it, it's almost there, but maybe this and that. And yeah,
yeah,
dude, I totally get what you're doing, man. And he's an easy guy to work with when you're doing it.
absolutely.
yeah. That's it's important to not feel like the guy's crying about it.
Yeah.
He's just like literally, okay, sounds good. I'll
Yeah,
check it out. Like we're always like, like here's what we think. But if you think we're wrong, don't worry about it. You know what I mean?
well,
Like,
yeah.
you know
I
what I
mean,
mean?
I bet.
I think I could use a little more of this on the bass, but if you think in the whole mix with it mastered and all the shit you're doing and all your knowledge, if you think that I'm wrong, then fine. You know what I mean? Like we trust. That's why you try to get someone you trust.
Well, that's like one thing. That's one guy you're not going to get. You're not going to get any BS from is because I've done two records with Livermore, and if there's one thing I've known about Livermore is that he is not. He is no BS. He'll give you his opinion. He'll give you his opinion whether or whatever. I love it.
Okay, good. Because yeah, he said he was riding home in his car the other day and he listened to it and he said it was fucking awesome. So.
If he says it's fucking awesome, that's amazing.
Okay,
Because
yeah.
he told me he goes when he told me when I was doing the drum track, he goes not bad. I said no, I want to hear awesome. He goes, you're not going to hear that from me. So the fact that you heard that from him is
Oh, good. Cool. Well, that's good. Yeah. Yeah, he seems into
Neither
it.
neither of us are in the best band ever, which is what he's in. So that's what
Neither am I. Makes three
I
of us.
I will tell you, man, I have seen you guys so many times and all of them mean something to me for different reasons, but I saw you guys around the week between like Christmas and New Year's back in 2015, 2014 in Pensacola, Florida. At,
Oh,
at a
like
place,
outside?
huh?
Outside?
No, I saw you at the Vinyl. It's like this club in Pensacola. And I just remember Beeve was there. I mean, it was
Yeah.
before Sue Lin. It was back. I'm not sure what record it was, but you guys, that show, and I don't know why it stands out, but honestly, one of the tightest bands I've ever seen in my life. I went with a buddy of mine who doesn't like heavy music, and he told me, he's like, I'm not into that kind of music, but have never seen a band play that tight before in my entire life.
Oh,
And,
that's cool. That's good to hear.
and I mean, is that something that you said back in the day you guys were going to George 2, 3 almost every day practicing, even if you're sitting on the couch making fun of people, you're still practicing a lot. Is that something that's super important? Because I know that's a distinction between some of the punk bands I know and some of the more metallic bands I know. You want to sound good. You don't want to sound shitty. Like, is that something you guys
Yeah.
always think about before you're presenting a show or before you're leaving for a tour?
Yeah, like we've never, ever, ever, ever went on tour without like jamming for like 3 weeks beforehand or a month, you know what I mean? Like, and I don't know, like it's just that kind of thing. Like if you're gonna do something for your life, like this is what represents us as human beings in the world. Like at least practice, you know what I mean? Like for me, it's like I'm gonna sit there with my metronome, I'm gonna try not to humiliate myself, like gonna try to work on my picking, gonna try to work on my singing, you know what I mean? Like uh just seems like the logical thing to do, like to go and stand up in front of a beat bunch of people not practiced and just feel like what? Like I'm gonna miss all these notes and have no fun and just like, you know what I mean? Like I take just the paranoia of it, like I take my bass to the shop before every tour. Like, can you try to make sure that this is like check all the electronics, everything, just like I need it to be not a worry.
Yeah.
Like, like when you're younger and you are like going to play shows and okay, my amp head might last, it might not. Okay, whatever. If I got a water bottle to pour on it, if it shorts out, 'cause I don't know what else to do. And you're like, that kind of shit. My bass, I know the cables may be fucked, but whatever. Then you're standing there in front of all these people. Okay, my cable is fucked. I'm an idiot. Chris is looking at me like I'm an idiot. George's looking at me like I'm an idiot, and I am an idiot. So it's like, just all that shit. It's just like I just don't want it. I want to do the best I can. Like so that's it.
Well,
It's
I'm
like
as a fan, I'm excited to hear what you guys are going to be coming out with. Probably next year, you're going to be releasing the record or sometime.
yeah, hopefully, yeah, like relatively not too long into 2025,
Awesome.
and like for
Well,
sure, like
it's I just found out recently both my bands are playing Red Bridge Fest with you.
oh,
So
that's awesome, man.
I'm stoked to see you guys play again. Stoked to actually meet you person in person.
Yeah,
And
we'll have to run into each other for sure. I
absolutely.
think we're gonna get there a day earlier too, so even if you're
Cool.
not playing our night, uh,
One of my bands is playing on Friday. One of my bands is playing on Saturday.
oh, right, cool, cool, cool.
So,
He's
yeah,
way
so
busier than me. My band is not playing.
Well, you gotta get on it, get on it.
We tried to get on it and they really liked us, but our booking agent missed the window. So,
Oh, okay, yeah,
but we'll
yeah.
see you at some point in the future. I think, have you guys ever played Music for Cancer? We both of our bands just played it this past year in Quebec.
Well, I don't think we have. No. Yeah, no, we haven't.
Maybe
But
we can all hang out next year at Music for Cancer. That sounds fun.
yeah,
oh, cool.
September.
Where is that?
It's on the
Same area.
North Shore in Montreal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah,
Yeah, if it is in Canada, it's more likely for us to get there just because all the like working papers and that to get to the US for us is
yeah.
it's insane.
We
Like
we just finished a tour with Mad Caddies in Belvedere, and Steve from Belvedere just really gave me through all the ins and outs of like what it takes to get the visas and to get into and do a proper tour of America. And I lost more here by him just describing it to me.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like yeah, like people are always like this and that, but really like if you have to have a band pay 4 grand to just get across the border, it's like I don't know. Like then the band really has to think like, I don't know. And then go through like a 6 month process, to get it stamped and just all that stuff. It's really like such a
Yes.
hassle that you're just like, oh, maybe I'll just stay home and do nothing.
Have you guys, this is the last thing that I'll kind of ask, and then I'll do our closing stuff. We'll get you out of here and have a good day on Saturday. But have you ever done the thing where you've snuck across, like not sneak like across the border, but like not tell them what you're doing? Like I remember when I was in the Ataris, we played in South Africa, and they told us to write on the thing when we came into the country into Johannesburg that we were seasonal coal mine workers. And I was like, I don't want to go to prison in South Africa. Like, and then they assured us. And so like we did what they said and we got in, everything was fine. But like, have you ever gone somewhere where you didn't have the correct stuff, or maybe didn't even know that you didn't have the correct stuff, like visas and whatnot?
Well, back in the day, it was just kind of like a common thing for Canadians to do, but like since Propagandhi, I think everything's always legit.
Yeah.
Like yeah, it's like it's too much of a hassle. Like to have all the shows canceled and like you know what I mean. So it's just like
Yeah.
nah, just do it legit. Who cares?
If you
Hey,
guys ever go to Johannesburg, just don't put coal miner because it worked for us, but I don't want you guys to get in trouble.
yeah, it's probably by now they have a different. I
Yeah.
remember when my spy first went to Europe, like Marcus there from Bud Alive, he was just saying like, you just get to the border and don't worry about it. I was like,
That's
I can't believe we're going here with no work. Like I was so nervous on the plane because I was used to getting just grilled and drilled at the American border, and just abused. Yeah, you get to yeah, Germany, you just show them your passport. Okay, sounds good. Stamp. Like not a single question. I remember just
Yeah.
walking and like, holy shit.
Well, dude, I hadn't played a show out of the United States for like over a decade, and my band Fire Sale, we just went up to play Music for Cancer in September. It's where we decided to do this podcast. Dally and I were hanging out and said, "Hey, we should
Oh,
do
cool.
this." But I remember like I Matt Riddle, who's in my band, used to be in No Use for a Name, Face to Face. He he always had like someone that helped him travel, I guess, back in the day. So he told me, he's like, "Hey man, I get in like 20 minutes before you. I'm just gonna sit at my gate until you get there so we can go through immigration together." And I'm like, okay. And I was like, man, maybe he's right. Maybe this will be weird because we don't have like a work visa. We were playing this big show. And then I started getting really like kind of anxious. And when we got there, they're like, "Oh, you're playing the festival? Cool, have fun." And everything was fine.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I remember in Venezuela, I got detained for a while because my beard was too long. They thought I was like some kind of like, I don't
Uh,
know. It was crazy. They told me
yeah.
that like when we were in Venezuela, they asked me all these questions, and when I was leaving, finally, I'm like, "What? Why did you think something was going on?" They're like, "Well, your beard's really." And my beard was like down to here at that point.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, so I'm always a little bit freaked out. I just didn't know if you guys had any weird story, even doing it the correct way. Have you had any like weird travel stories like that?
Oh yeah, yeah. We've been abused every which way at the border. Yeah.
I bet.
Yeah,
Yeah. Gosh.
literally. Yeah. Oh, man. Well,
Honestly,
for the
Todd, I mean,
last long time, it's been okay. Like I think we have no strikes against us, you know.
Yeah.
So they look and they're like, these guys have been here for going through here for like 30 years without any issues. Just like, okay, whatever.
Your track record is wonderful, so they just let you in.
Yeah, it's literally like, okay, these guys paid 4 grand and whatever. They got all these shows, but whatever. Who cares?
Well, hey,
Which
I
it
just
really
want to
should.
I just want
Sorry.
to say that no, I'm sorry. I just want to say that this has been a treat, man. It's been an honor. I'm a huge fan. It's This record means the world to me, as do a lot of the other records. So thank you so much for
Yeah,
just
thanks, guys.
thanks for giving us your time today, man. Chris, do you want to say anything?
no, yeah, Todd, just it was a pleasure. Thank you for just continuing to put out amazing music and never standing on, never just always doing what you guys always wanted to do, which is just be Propagandhi. And
Yeah,
I'm so
thanks, man. You
hear what you
guys
guys are
too.
gonna do. I can't wait to hear the new record. And I mean, I saw you guys with Sulin in Southern California at the observatory, and I was just
Oh, cool.
I cannot wait to see you guys again, and I'll see you guys in June. So thank you again for making me this guy a very happy guy, and stoked
Yeah.
to the music.
Yeah, thanks for the kind words about the record, you guys. I appreciate it and listening and all that, you know. You guys know just being in a band, usually you're just trolling along with your day-to-day business without anyone saying anything nice to you or anything. So
Yeah. Again, thank you, Todd. I mean, it was a
Thanks,
real
man.
pleasure.
Right on. Take care, you guys.
Yep, we'll catch you later, man.
Yeah,
Better
see you
stuff.
soon.
See ya.
Yes.
How do I get out of here? Later, guys.
Yeah.
Later, man.
Okay. So yeah, so that was you know what we didn't do? I liked it because it was so conversational at the beginning. We just started going.
Yeah.
We probably for future episodes need to introduce our guests.
Yeah. We should, I mean, maybe we could like do that, like a recording of that before.
I'll do a little chunk and I'll put it on there. Yeah, but no,
Yeah.
this was great. Do you have any afterthoughts now that he has left the chat that we can I
He
really,
was,
really, I mean, dude, this record is one of my favorite records of all time.
yeah.
And I've talked to Todd before, but this was like getting to sit and chat about that record and anything else for over an hour. It was a real treat, man.
Well, hearing him, I mean, like honestly, hearing he mentioned these bands I'd never heard of,
I mean,
and
I'm fairly familiar with the Doughboys and
that, yeah, I mean, like, but like
Dayglow abortions and stuff like that.
that band he brought up in Germany. It's like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah, yeah. I've
okay,
seen that name somewhere, but
okay,
I don't know anything about them. But I love learning new stuff. That's what this
too.
podcast is about too, you know.
Well, and just like hearing, just like, basically just like, I mean, here, the one thing that really was, like I said, I brought it up. It was like, he basically said, no, we didn't give a shit about what Fat Mike thought. It
Yeah.
was this and fuck everybody else. And it's us three in George's fucking basement and coming out the fucking first song they fucking do is fucking Fuck the Borders. I'm like, oh my God.
Do you know what I just realized about our new podcast is
What's up?
that when the guest says bye, then we get to keep talking about how much we love the guest and their record.
Yeah, I mean, dude, honestly, it's like I heard it. You talked about this about waiting to pick up your kids. I was waiting to pick up Keith from school, and I put that on yesterday. And I was because I wanted to make sure I was like going over my notes, and I went back to hearing the record. I'm going, and I mean, every time the song came on,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, completely. Because I will say, out of their discography, what do I listen to most? Probably Potemkin. Victory Lap is still got my ear. Failed States, so good.
yeah,
But that's the thing. Like, that was the turning point for me that I think we got modern Propagandhi was that record.
yeah,
So going back to that record for me, I mean, you're gonna make fun of me, but I always put things into Metallica terms. Going back to that record for me is like going back to Ride the Lightning, because that jump from Kill 'Em All to Ride the Lightning is like that jump from the second to third Propagandhi record,
yeah.
and it goes forward.
The the one the one thing I actually wanted to kind of bring up to him, and I don't know why I'm looking up right now, and I totally was forgetting what the other record was. So we talked a little bit about Potemkin, whatever you want to say it. But I always like I wanted to ask one song was on supporting cast about Dirk Horse's Corner.
Oh shit. Yeah, I mean, I know a little bit about that. It's that
Yeah, I
guy
mean, but
Hockey
hearing
Night in Canada that is pretty far to the right
well, I
politically.
mean, what made him okay? I'm gonna let people be aware of this. That's
I
what
mean,
blows me up.
I feel like, yeah, it would have been really cool to get his perspective on it, but I know that I think when I had Chris on the podcast, we discussed it. It has been a few years, but I think it was just kind of like that guy means so much to hockey in Canada, but he's kind of a right-wing asshole. And it
Yeah.
was it was Chris's like, hey man, we're really not that much different. How can you be this way and I can be this way? It was kind of that kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because like I said, I've talked to Todd on Messenger. That's the only way we've talked. And he was like, from the get go, he's always replied back to my messages, which I always
Yeah.
thought was really cool. He didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
And so to actually talk to him like this and really get an intake of like hearing about how these guys fucking practice fucking for a month straight and like do it like this
Yeah,
whole
it
time,
made
blown
me
away.
feel the whole made me feel like a douchebag. Like when he's like, you
Me
got
too.
well, because like with Fire Sale, we all live in different states. So we all practice for a month or two by ourselves. But
Yeah.
then we get there and it's like, okay, hotel room rehearsal before we play a fucking festival. Like it made me feel like a fucking piece of shit, man. But I mean, he's right.
Yeah.
If you're gonna go out there, you're gonna do this for your life. You're going to, and plus a band that has a message like they have a message, you can't go up there and half-ass it.
I mean, also the intricacies of like what they play. I mean, you
Yeah.
cannot. I mean, I'm sorry, and I hate to use this guy as a verb, but it's true. You can't Jordan go up there and Jordan burns it because
This is
that's a fact.
okay.
That's a fact. I mean,
There's a little Easter egg at the end of the episode. We'll see if anybody listens this far.
well, I love the guy,
I love Jordan.
and the thing is, but when he wanted to be on, he was on.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this right now. I went to the 10th anniversary of Element and Sonic Defiance at the Hollywood House of Blues. That was probably the best show I've ever seen Jordan play. Jordan was on fire. His fills were exactly everything. But then, he just sometimes just didn't practice. And you saw it. You would see it in a drum fill. You would see it with his left hand. You'd see stuff like that. It's like, and I mean, I love the guy, but it's like, it's not a very good role model to follow.
Well, I just think that, generally playing the type of music that I play, that you play, that they play. It's all different, but it all kind of is of the same ilk. Like Authority Zero stuff's pretty precise.
Yeah.
Fire Sale stuff's pretty precise. Propagandhi stuff is insanely precise.
Yeah.
If you don't put in some sort of work, there's a very real possibility that it is not going to work the way you want it to work.
Yeah. And I mean, that's one thing with authority. I mean, and I don't pay attention to it. And I think sometimes my guys look way too much into it of like, ending song, to make sure the song is not going to be too far of a key off of like what that song ended with. I'm like,
Yeah.
who cares? I'm like, what we care. I'm like, okay. So we actually, I mean, that's what our bass player Mike is all about. He's all about those transitions, about let's find a way to bring into the next song and see that.
I mean, I love that. And we've talked a lot about that as well. Like me and Pedro and Riddle have really discussed like we have too much dead air between the songs. And that's because we can play the songs well, but we don't know what to do between the fucking songs because we don't ever get to rehearse together. So we've thought about, I've got a looper, I've thought about doing stuff like that, but then I don't want to be too theatrical with it. Like I still want it to be punk rock and loose and fun and be able to do whatever. And we've thought about our drummer maybe having a click in his ears. But then again, it's like, do we want to do that? Like, I just want to do whatever I can to make the band better live since we don't live in the same area and we can't rehearse. But I also don't want to hinder us by like putting so many limitations on us.
Yeah. I mean, well, and I didn't tell Todd this because I mean, it can come off like in such a weird way, but when I was at that observatory show, I mean, I wasn't literally doing that. And fairly, I was just flipping them off because I couldn't believe how fucking tight they were. I was like, going, "Oh, fuck you," because it was so. Like I said, I mean, I was just waiting for just one flub. Like, just show me you're human.
Well, dude, it's like when I was telling him about that Pensacola, Florida show when Beeve was still in the band. I I had seen them before and I've seen them since, but there was something about that night, like they were on fire, dude. And I mean,
Yeah.
they're always on fire. I've not seen a bad performance, but
Yeah.
that night there was something about that night where, man, they were just like god tier. Like,
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's the thing too, is I mean, I'd seen them so many times before, but I think honestly, I think Sue Lynn's guitar
her,
playing, and
her
I think
backing vocals are great as
that
well.
was another thing I was about to say. Her backing vocals added such a new detriment to that band, especially in a live setting. And I mean, she, like I said, she just brought another flavor to the band. Which
Yeah.
which I mean, if you could do that and not alleviate from what the band is, but also add to it, that's exactly
I
what Sue
mean,
Lynn.
you're filling big shoes too, because Beeve was crazy good.
He was crazy. And
And
I mean, I know for a fact my guitar player Brandon was trying to get that gig, the guitars from Authority Zero. He was
I tried to.
Sean Sellers set it up.
Oh, I just tried because a friend of mine who lives in Canada and is really good friends with some of those dudes, like got me a special email address and
Wow.
I sent in some stuff and I was thanked for my time, but they went another direction.
Well, I mean, and that's what I mean, and obviously they didn't just do it willy nilly. They took their time, and obviously, I mean, and Sue Lynn, I mean, you see her on stage, and that speaks for itself for why they chose
She's
her
a badass and she fits that band so well.
perfectly. And I'm so excited. I'm actually going to play in the same festival as him. So I'm going to be side stage like
Dude,
this.
I might just fly up there and hang out for the
You
week.
have to.
You get me on the list I'll be your
You're all
tech.
access, buddy.
Dude, I'll be your tech or something. I'll just fly up and hang out.
Just come and stay in my cabin.
I will. I'll do that, man. My band's not gonna be doing shit that week.
Well, because no, Redbridge Fest provides cabins for all the bands.
I will definitely. If I'll fly up there and figure it out, man. When is that? June?
Yeah, June 6th. It's my birthday week.
Oh well, I'm definitely doing it then. Definitely, and I guess because that'd be fun. Yeah, we'll hang out. It'd be great. We'll talk to some people at the fucking festival for the podcast.
Yeah.
That'll be great.
Yeah, Goldfinger just got announced, so we can talk to Feldman. I think Gob's gonna be doing it, so I would love to do a Gob record.
Yeah.
It'd be great. But, I mean, it's like, I mean, I think the whole sky's the limit with this thing, and I'm excited to see what. We don't know who's next. I mean, we already have people that have said yes, but just need to get the confirmations and let's make this happen. But what a first episode! I'm so stoked that Todd did this, and I'm very appreciative of his time. And
It was
thank you.
great.
Awesome.
Well, I tell you what, man, we've been on here for way over an hour and a half. What I'd like to do, we can end these now with what do we have going on in our lives. So like musically, professionally, uh for me, Fire Sale is working on new music. We have a split coming out early next year with the almighty Pulley.
Yes.
And we have another 7-inch coming out on a Canadian record label. I can't really announce who it is yet, but that'll be a lot of fun. That should be out in the next couple months. And we're trying to book some stuff. We'll see what happens. And other than that, Christmas is coming up, buying presents for my kids, hanging out. What do you got going on, man? Professionally and life wise?
Just finished our tour with Mad Caddies and Belvedere across the West Coast. It was a successful, wonderful tour. Both bands were amazing. I am home for another 10 days, and then we leave again we're doing a fun tour of Texas, which I'm going to see your boy Matt.
Yeah. Shout out to Matt Morris and Brad Edwards, our guitarist.
Yes,
Mike.
and Brad's going to probably come out too. So I mean,
and their cousin Tanner. Have you met Tanner yet? You'll love Tanner.
Haven't. No.
Tanner's the one that painted Matt's bass, like the album cover, the Albatross.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, so I mean, we have that, and then we're off for a couple months. Authority is.
You've got some implant shows like a Toys for Tots drive and stuff like that.
In December, in 3 weeks, and then we have some stuff coming in, and just California stuff, and then we're doing Red Fest along with Authority Zero. But first couple months gonna be kind of quiet, minus a couple implant shows. But after that, it's gonna start getting busy again. So just gonna enjoy time with my family while I'm home, and just play drums at the Joey Piano Bar for a bunch of drunk people singing "Don't Stop Believing."
And hey, everybody out there, if you want this to happen, comment on the YouTube video or send emails to the right people. Authority Zero, Implants, Fire Sale, Tour.
Now.
That would be great. You'd have to pull double duty, but I tell you what, we could get Down by Law to play too, and then Matt Morris could pull double duty because he just played on their new record.
Oh, nice. And we're playing with, that means I'll see him in Europe because I think we're playing the same day at Brack Rock.
I don't know if he's going to see that. Here's the deal with that. We're trying to figure that out because there's a possibility Fire Sale might play that,
which I would love.
And Down by Law is already playing that, and they haven't figured out who's going to play drums on their tour yet. So there's some talks about some side shows and some stuff about maybe him pulling double duty and us being over there. So we'll see what happens.
I proved to myself 3 weeks ago that I could do it. I did double duty at the Garden Amp in Garden Grove with implants at 40, and I did not have a heart attack. So 2 thumbs up for that. So,
awesome. Well, Dalley, I love you very much.
Yes, enjoy your Saturday.
Fun. Yeah, you too. Enjoy your Saturday. I can't wait for the next one. And everybody out there, thank you for checking out Vinyl Destination. We appreciate all the support. Share it. Tell your buddies. Tell your friends. And in the comments of this YouTube video or the podcast catcher, wherever you can do anything, tell us what records you want us to cover. We have the ones we want to cover, but once we get through that, we'll cover other cool records. So tell us what you think.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Rock on.
Love you, buddy.
Love you too, man.
See ya.